The situation is pretty simple here at the Charlottetown Civic Center. Win, you get Ontario. Lose, and you're going home. It's time to meet the teams. Brought to you by Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons celebrating 25 years of roll up the rim to win. Team Nova Scotia is led by Heather Smith-Dacey. Her lead is Terry Lake. Her second, Bliss Comstock. And her third is Danielle Parsons. And they curl out of the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax. And British Columbia coming from the Kelowna Curling Club. Their leader is skip Kelly Scott. Third, Gina Schrader. Second, Sasha Carter. Lead, Jackie Armstrong. Now Nova Scotia gets last stone because they beat BC in the round robin, so they choose last rock. And that means BC selected the Yellowstones. So leading us off on this very crucial Friday afternoon, this tiebreaker, it's Jackie Armstrong throwing lead stones for Team BC.
Well, you're right, Brian. At this point in the event, teams are still required to use the stones that are on their sheet. And by the virtue of that win, had Heather Smith-Dacey decided to choose color, she could have, but of course she chose last rock. And so BC chose yellow. They did play them before in an 80% team game, a game that they won against the Yukon Northwest Territories. And for Heather Smith-Dacey on the sheet with red stone split, she did beat Yukon Northwest Territories, but they did use them in a loss to PEI.
Terry Lake lead stones for Nova Scotia.
Just clean. Clean. Yep.
Now, Kathy, you'd think it would be a no-brainer. If you have a chance to take the hammer, you take it. But if you really believed
nice throw.
In a set of rocks, when you actually had that choice, would you maybe defer to taking the rocks instead?
Oh, sure. You don't see it very much at national play because the stones are so good. There are some nuances and differences to them, but you don't have rocks that you do in some curling clubs. And so in Bondsville, sometimes people will give up last rock advantage to choose a set of stones that they feel are much better.
Okay. Good sweeping, guys. 10-4. Corner.
4-10.
Yep.
Well, here's the call for a corner guard. Get something going for Team Nova Scotia. Kelly Scott very much prefers a more open defensive game. And it's been ironic in the games that she won yesterday, Brian, she was down and really had to play with a lot of rocks. They do it very well. It's just not her preferred game plan.
Hey, line's not bad now. Whoa, whoa. Good, Terry. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's good. Good shot. Good eyes. Good shots, Jackie.
And here's a great example in this first end. Kelly Scott very clearly saying her preference is very wide open. Settle the nerves.
Heel.
Sasha Carter, second stones for Team BC. And one of the storylines, Kathy, we followed all week long is Sasha is, of course, 7 months pregnant, expecting a child. And she did have a bit of a break with Alexa coming in from the 5th position. But she looks great and obviously has a lot of energy left in the tank, even though we've had just a grueling week before us with all the competition.
Well, it's about being in great shape coming into this event. Sasha's played the entire year pregnant, and so her body has gotten used to her playing. Shannon Alexic, not just the regular 5th that may only play sometimes, knew when she came to this event that she would be called on to play. What they did is they looked at their schedule, and wherever they had 3 or 4 games together, so maybe afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, they would insert Shannon into the lineup, give Sasha a bit of a break.
Baby. Take it back.
Well, I think it's not going very far. Okay.
9-8. 9-8.
In speaking to Sasha this week, the only difficulty she's had is on a lot of rocks where they've really had to sweep hard from start to finish. It's been the breathing. It's the getting the extra oxygen into your lungs when you have a little one sitting on them. That's been the difficulty. It has not been the throwing.
Very nice, Dash. That weight, Cal? 9-4. Okay. 9-8. 9.5. 9.5. Your line's good, clean. Yep. 9. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Okay, you're on the nose, just clean. Okay, good. That's a 9. That's good. Everyone good everywhere.
Yeah, there was no straightness.
Hi, Gina.
Well, we talked about it off the top of the show. For BC, it was a tough grind to get to this point. And you look at the wins that she rattled off, Kelly Scott, to get to this point. And New Brunswick, Andrea Kelly, we talked about it, missed that open hit. She could have been done. She stayed alive. And then to come back and beat Saskatchewan the way she beat Saskatchewan was very impressive, Kathy.
Well, it was. And if you took a look at the losses, those were against teams that made the playoffs or were right in the mix. And so she didn't just go out and tank for 4 games. They played some really tough teams and just did not come out on the positive side. Lots of experience comes to the table in a game like this. First time you're out there all alone, 1 sheet in play, and start to realize that you're that close. For Kelly Scott has been here many times before, knows how to do it. And so for Heather Smith-Dacey and this young woman who is a key today, this is a little bit of a challenge if you're not able to focus on just throwing the rock with the right weight at the target.
Good.
Daniel Parsons, just 21 years of age. One of the great young players at this year's Scotties.
We've got room. Just to clean. It's got to work. Got to come up. Okay. There we go. Okay. Not making a fabric up.
When you talk about Nova Scotia's road to get here, it was truly remarkable considering that just before provincials, Colleen Jones obviously came down with meningitis. Heather Smith-Dacey knew that she'd have to take the reins of this team, and very impressively has brought them into this position at 7-4.
Well, and with the exception of Canada, the teams that they lost to are teams, and Ontario, the teams that are not in it. And that balance of loss, win really shows that Nova Scotia, Heather Smith-Dacey are able to respond, react. They didn't lose and then not be able to pull themselves up. And that sort of strong mental attitude is really important.
Hard, you guys.
As you say, Brian, especially coming in thinking for Heather Smith-Dacey that she was playing third, and all of a sudden this young woman has to go up to the third position, and Heather's skipping. That's a lot of change at a national championship.
Hey, guys. Yeah. What do you think? Right up?
Definitely right up, yeah.
Okay. Good glide, eh?
Very nice glide.
That discussion about the ice conditions, there have definitely been times on the draws, morning, afternoon, and night, where it's almost a little bit patchy, where the paths that the teams have thrown on much different than where they've not been. Information from the front end to Kelly is that it's gliding really nice, it's sliding, so she can throw it to her sweepers.
Moving big, guys. 9. Got room, got room. Line
8, 9.
Room.
8.
Hold in. Yeah. You got lots of room. 9, 10.
We got lots of weight.
Line's good. Sit. Way to go, Cal.
Gotta go.
All right.
And that one sits, partly buried, back 8.
Because that rock slid behind the tee line, great chance here in the first end for Heather Smith-Dacey to get in front of that.
Okay, well,
Maybe trying to generate 2 points.
Okay. Are they on the tee?
Nope, they're just behind.
Okay.
Just a touch more ice, just like an inch. 95?
Yeah. Not bad.
Felt pretty good. Line's perfect.
Yep, hard line.
Line's great. Hard line.
Whoa, room. Whoa.
Room. Freeze it.
Right on top. All you. Whoa, above
Line's
the feet.
perfect.
Whoa.
Line's perfect.
Yep.
Hard.
Well, one of the challenges for this team is the time clock, and the challenge is because the new rules, you are not allowed to stop the clock when your coach comes out. And for Heather Smith-Dacey, amongst all the teams, relies on her coach. That's Mark Dacey, former Brier champion, is also her husband. But something that is beyond just being her husband is they played a lot of years at mixed together. So he really knows how Heather throws at the broom, what her tendencies are, what she's more likely to make, and what she needs. And this combination has worked really, really well this week.
Once it started to break, it just
Got 15 on that. Did you guys get that?
I
Yeah.
got a 4-8, yeah.
Okay.
Kelly Scott, her final stone. Here in one without hammer.
Bit more room.
Pretty close to the same.
Yeah, we're 9 again.
Okay,
It's coming down a bit.
Okay, well, you just got to be top 8.
We're 8.
Okay,
Line's
stay close.
really
We'll try to
good. You
punch
can
it.
move
Yeah.
it.
Whoa, almost to it.
9.
Now there's that roll off for Kelly, and it does not look at this angle that she tapped it back far enough.
Shoot.
good try. Yeah.
It's just got that little extra line.
Do you want to throw a 9?
Yeah, I just want to decide which direction I want to go. Yeah, you just have to touch it because they're just shot.
Okay,
You got to
well,
hit it
there's
pretty thick, hey?
the view of Nova Scotia from this angle. It's obviously very tight, but for Nova Scotia feeling that it is BC lying 1 and 2.
You just have to touch theirs.
Okay.
And to get it out.
Tap for 2.
Actually, the one is behind the other one, so.
Kind of wait.
9. Okay.
A deep breath for Heather Smith-Dacey. Her final stone here in one, a chance for a great start to pick up a pair.
Hard!
Really hard!
Hard! Really hard! Go, guys! Hard, 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 hard. You got it.
Big scrub the entire way.
Okay.
Makes that stone go away.
It's worth the measure, Danielle.
One for sure for Nova Scotia.
Measure it.
Yeah, let's measure them.
Okay.
One for sure? Probably worth a measure, but
Measure, please.
probably worth a measure.
It's very, very close as you look at it from this angle. It almost looks like red.
When Heather got into the hack, she thought they just had to tap the stone back to pick up their 2, so that was her initial thought as well.
Looks red to me.
I didn't hear you. I just figured you know everybody. This one?
Yeah.
I'd only be a little bit disappointed that she threw as much weight on her second as she did on her first.
I think it looks red.
Red would be a Nova Scotia stone. Heather Smith-Dacey was playing to make the double or at least roll the shooter to tap the yellow one, thinking that was the BC stone that was shot. No way.
Too red.
So it is the red stone. And a great start for Heather Smith-Dacey as she picks up a pair and leads 2-0 in this crucial tiebreaker. We'll have a preview show, and we'll look at the entire field, Kathy, and break down this event and what a field it is.
Very, very strong. Kevin, you talked about already James Grattan, Brad Gushu. Brad Jacobs really showed well a couple of years ago. Jeff Stoughton back with Jonathan Meade from his Olympic trials final a couple of years ago. Much stronger team than we've seen out of Manitoba and Jeff in the last couple of years.
Of course, out of Ontario, Glenn Howard is back once again. Pat Simmons getting out of Saskatchewan. And you'll remember Kevin Cooey, the former Brier and world champ, his brother Jamie will represent the Yukon Northwest Territories. All begins March 5th. We're very excited to be along for the ride.
Another week with you.
Every woman's dream. As we welcome you back inside the Charlottetown Civic Center. It was a dream start so far for Heather Smith-Dacey. She picks up her pair in the first and a 2-0 lead over BC.
Well, it's more than 2 points on the board. It really is a big momentum shift. For Kelly Scott, had a really good chance on her second one to lock in a stone and limit Heather Smith-Dacey to 1, but she goes deep. And then for Heather Smith-Dacey, feels she's missed the called shot, and she's only going to get 1, and in fact wins the measure. So those are the kind of things that make someone like Heather Smith-Dacey relax. The team with the least amount of experience in this game, what a great start. And for Kelly Scott, they're back on the edge right away.
Sit. 3. Sit.
Yep. Okay, good.
Think I can throw the same weight here, girls?
Same track weight? Yeah, I do. I think it won't be close.
And we will watch the ice today. As I mentioned earlier, it's the only time so far this week that there's been one sheet out. We do have a draw on Monday morning that there are only 2 sheets in play, and that's to balance out the odd number of teams. But it is very different today. Nothing in the building this morning.
We're up to the red.
Temperatures are a little bit different.
I think you got quite a big bounce.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a 5.
Nice weight, Jackie.
Okay. Your four slid a lot here. Sorry?
BC with those 2 corner guards and 2 stones now, 1 promoted in by BC. Heather Smith-Dacey going to try to just lock off that front.
Line's nice.
Weight's nice. 3, 2 only right now.
Okay, well then, we'll keep it out there. Going over curl.
Whoa.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Just a 2.
Leave
Why
it.
whoa?
Whoa.
Whoa. You want us to finish?
Whoa. I don't think you're going to need to.
Okay.
Sit. Okay, that's pretty good.
Good, Bliss.
Kathy, you would think it would be advantage Kelly Scott when it comes to experience, especially in these big games. 2-time Scotties winner, of course, and she's been down this road before. But keep in mind, we talk about Heather Smith-Dacey. A lot of experience not only at the Scotties before, but also in a Canadian mixed curling championship with Mark, who we've talked about. It's been a great source for her of confidence and information throughout this week.
Clean, yep.
Well, for Kelly Scott, there is no question that she is the more experienced out here. But one of the challenges, Brian, is that you need the experience, but you also need the execution. And it has been the latter of this team from BC this week that has been the issue. It has been the numbers that they have put on the board.
Okay.
Bliss Comstock.
Line's nice.
Weight's
Room
pretty good.
now.
5, 6. Only if we have to.
No, line's great.
Whoa.
Close though. Room.
Line only.
Line's good. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not
7,
behind
8.
the tee.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Top house.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can go.
Nova Scotia continuing to apply a lot of pressure
Yep, go now. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
against Team BC. Team BC just not sharp yet in this game. And when we look back at Team BC in previous Scotties appearances,
Kind of out there.
see the numbers have been pretty strong. 75, 78. In fact, the blip for Kelly Scott personally up until now has been a 75. That's been her overall lowest. That's where she is this week. And key for that, if you look at Gina Schrader's career, 77 was the off year, the one low year that she wasn't in the 80s. She's at 75 this year. So even though the experience that you talk about is important, Brian, if you're not executing, that experience kind of drifts away.
Tight.
I'll give it to you. Okay.
Kathy, it's interesting. I had a chat with Heather Smith-Dacey during one of her games in the 5th end break, and the one thing that she said that her team had to get back to doing was putting rocks in play. They're not shy about doing that either. and they got to stick to their game plan. And once they got doing that, they got in a bit of a roll.
Whoa, if you can at all.
They certainly are comfortable, but that also leads to that time clock issue. Throwing draws and guards takes much more time than just throwing hits.
Here comes the line. Line's getting nice now. Yep,
Finish.
yep. Go hard now.
Whoa, whoa.
Hard, really hard. Go. Split center. Go. Hard. That early sweeps.
And the reason that she was encouraging them to get it to the center line was to close off the hole.
Either that or run that yellow in there. So I'm just leaving all these guards.
10.
Okay, this is good.
I like this.
You heard Gina, one of the considerations that she was having was running the yellow guard that's in front of the house near the center line back into the mix.
Handful.
But for Kelly Scott, I think she wants one of those red stones to just go away.
Yeah! Whoa!
Atta girl.
Good, Gina.
Gina.
9-6 again.
Okay.
The numbers that you hear Kelly Scott calling out are the times of the hits between the two hog lines. She was looking for about a 10-second hit on that last one. You heard her say 9-6, which suggests that Gina threw it a little bit harder than she anticipated, and that's probably why it took a little bit longer to roll, and
Line's
the roll
great.
in the house was farther than they wanted
Line's
it to
good,
go.
yeah. Line's good. Yep, hard line. Room. Yep, line.
No, we have room.
Room.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's going over curl.
8 foot. Whoa.
Top four.
It's top 4. Whoa.
Full 4.
Sit. Beauty.
Same thing, Gina.
I knew we had to go by the guard a bit.
Yeah. 11.
Okay.
You like this?
11.
Well, it's either that or we got to open something off.
Right.
Like if I don't get through here.
Can also run the red in.
I think
You
so.
like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so too.
Heel.
Oh, she wants red onto red.
Yeah.
Well, from the hat, Gina can probably see only about a quarter of the stone Kelly was asking her to play to, and she's just really concerned about how many rocks are up front.
Yep. No. Shooter will go, Sash.
Okay.
The run back of the red, but they'll miss the granite in the
Hi,
house.
Gina. Atta girl. Good throw.
It's a tough break for Gina. The odds of picking off at least one of those reds was pretty high.
I think I gave you just a little too much ice on your guard.
Okay.
But just fully guard the one on the button.
Okay.
Okay, so use the rock in the house just to gauge where you need to place the guard.
Okay.
So just touching center.
Okay. It's pretty slick here.
420?
Yeah. 15 to 20.
One thing really impressive I find about Heather
You can just
Smith-Dacey,
give
and
it a
maybe
couple feet before you jump
it's
on it.
twofold. Obviously, having Mark there as her coach or having worked with Colleen Jones is just her confidence in making that move to the skip position. She really seems in control of this team.
Well, she really is. Heather Smith-Dacey skipped when she was much younger, but it has been the third position that
Line's nice.
has been
don't
where
think you
she
need
had
to.
wanted
Gotta move
to
a
play,
little.
but is really very
Low for
comfortable
line.
and
Whoa,
looking
we're gonna
very
have to
solid
go. Okay. Higher than
in
yours.
that skip position.
Hard, get to center. Hard, get to center.
Really
Go
going
hard.
here.
Hard, really hard. Go. Come on, guys. Hard. Keep it moving. Go. Keep going.
Beauty.
Ideal.
Definitely there.
What's that?
The hole is definitely there.
The hole is definitely there. Gina came through this before. Kelly's just throwing a little bit less weight than she had. There's the hole.
Okay.
Okay.
Thread the needle.
You bet.
Stay with the yellow, Jackie, if we can get anything your way.
Okay. Let's go, Cal.
Stay with the yellow for Jackie, meaning that once her shooter makes contact with the shot stone, if they can get any sort of roll behind the other red in the house, that will be guarded not only by the red, but by a yellow guard out front as well.
Hack to
Kelly
bumper.
Scott with her first here in 2.
Oh,
Close.
oh,
Yeah, bumper.
oh.
It's not moving.
Yep. Yep. Hard.
Good plan B
Okay.
call shot by Gina when she realized there was no way it was
pretty good,
going to
Cal.
finish hard enough to get through the hole.
Good call, Gina.
Okay.
Stayed, eh?
Yeah, it did.
Thought your 9-6 got moved.
Yeah, I think that's probably the call, hey? Yeah, okay.
10.
Yeah, hers really hung there. I mean, if it's hanging, you can always play
Just gotta
that,
stick
right?
around,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
10.
Yeah, because they have the other one over there too, so. Just don't play it too cute to ours. Even the nose
No.
is fine, right?
Yep.
Nose. Okay.
Nose is ideal, but if anything, in the process of removing that stone, she'd rather roll a little bit that way.
Little
only she'll
roll
be
here
throwing
doesn't
red.
hurt us, hey?
And when she says don't get cute, what they don't want to do is play it so close to being the nose that you actually wind up rubbing on your own. She's able to hit and stick. She's going to give Kelly a shot against 3, and that's really forcing your opponent to make a big shot to get one.
Yep. Whoa. Yep.
So a chance for Heather Smith-Dacey to really put the pressure on here in 2. Her final stone without.
Good. So, okay.
Makes the hit. Nova Scotia lies 3.
Not sure if there's a triple there. I kind of wanted to roll. You know, get them all moving or not.
Is the triple there, Kathy?
Well, I'm looking at it. If you hit the middle part of the crotch, you're going to jam red onto yellow in the 12-foot. And at this point, it's not worth the risk, in my opinion. This is really about Kelly Scott getting her point and turning the game around.
Is she playing just the tap to the one on the button?
Yeah, she is. Just trying to throw quiet enough weight to get it to move.
I like it.
Here we go, Cal.
So final stone here in 2 for Kelly Scott. Facing 3 Nova Scotia stones, playing the out-turn tap for her 1.
Back line. No.
Stay close. Got room
Now
now.
let it work. Close.
Wait's perfect.
Whoa. Whoa.
That one,
Whoa.
Gina? No? Okay, line's almost there. Get over.
Needs a late finish. Has to get by that red stone. A little rub.
Good shot, Cal.
Good shot.
Nice shot.
And it's not to be. A steal of 1 for Nova Scotia. As Heather Smith-Dacey now 3-0. This spectator certainly has some interest in this game. 21-year-old Rachel Holman. She'll face the winner of this tiebreaker between BC and Nova Scotia as we look at the situation. Of course, later on tonight, it's Saskatchewan versus Team Canada in the 1-2 game. And Ontario will play the winner of Nova Scotia and BC. And right now, it's certainly advantage Heather Smith-Dacey as she picked up 2 in the first, stole 1 in the second. And now Kelly Scott has the hammer once again here in 3, down 3-0 at the Charlottetown Civic Center in this very crucial tiebreaker.
Talk about Rachel Holman looking on. The team will have an opportunity to throw some rocks out here today. Really important for them to have come back yesterday and won 2 after losing both on Wednesday. You want to end the round robin on a good note. And it's a little bit, as much as they're happy they're in the playoffs, you have the whole day off today, which almost takes you a little bit out of a rhythm. At least their ability to throw on the ice will help keep them in form.
Clean it. 3, clean.
Saskatchewan coming off that loss last night to BC, which kept Kelly Scott alive.
Line's good.
Amber Holland and her team were out throwing rocks this afternoon as well, trying to stay sharp.
Sit down. Sit.
Kelly Scott very, very close to making that final stone.
Great
it
shot.
was the path that she had initially thought to ask Gina to throw, and had she thrown, she might have been able to have figured out the ice earlier. But then again, on the other hand, if Gina had been able to clear open the front and pick off a red stone, that would have worked as well. Unfortunately, neither made, and that's the 3-spot difference so far.
7.
Just less than Kelly.
Hey, clean for line. We're getting close. Yeah, line. Got room, got room.
7.
Clean line. Line's real good. Coming over real nice.
7.
Still 7. You want it back?
There. No, line's good enough. Great shot, Jackie.
Atta girl.
Very nice shot by Jackie. They played this spot on the first end, so Kelly very comfortable with how much it would move. Stone very buried. Hence the request to open it up.
I want to disrupt what we got going on over there.
Please to the one in the
It's pretty
south.
nice here.
That's what I was thinking. So slick as we've been, eh, guys?
Yep. Yeah, we can drag them.
4-7 was their last draw to the 4-foot. Yeah, but it feels a bit more like 15, don't you think? You haven't drawn either. Looks good.
Line's
7.
nice.
Felt just a bit like
Need to bite top 4.
Line's
4, 7, 8.
You can wait on it a bit. Line's pretty nice. Like to go on line. Hard line. Hard line. Hard line. Gotta go, gotta go. Okay, whoa, whoa. Nice sash.
It's a good shot. Heather Smith-Dacey
9.5.
will just go to the outside one, the one that is open, and worry about play on the other side, because she knows Kelly Scott will have to deal with those stones in the 4-foot at some point.
It's nice. Clean. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Hard. Whoa. Whoa.
It's okay if you kick this.
Bliss Comstock makes the hit. And for now, Nova Scotia line 3.
Pretty good.
Like major pockets.
There is that pocket that has been created by those 3 Nova Scotia stones, and as much as it looks really good for Nova Scotia, for BC, they love the fact that those stones are there. Anywhere in front for Sasha Carter means that Nova Scotia is going to be driving a BC stone onto one of their own.
It's a bit more.
Do you need a rub, guys?
A bit more.
Do you need a rub?
Little bump.
Do you need a rub?
8.
Where?
There, guys.
Well, rub's fine.
Yeah. No,
Whoa,
we're too
line will be
late.
fine for the center.
Close. Yep. Yep. Bounce it, Gina. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Now you heard Kelly asking her sweepers, do we need a bump?
Hey, Sash.
That's how important that communication is at that point, so she can make that decision from the hack.
Well, it's huge. That's twice so far in 3 ends. BC has gone to plan B and played it very well because of the information that was given by the sweepers to the person in the house.
Firm. Clean. Yep. Whoa. 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 Off.
Good.
Are you throwing us those that much lighter?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Either that or hit and roll In other games, those would be about a 4, 3, 4, and they're coming to 7.
Not last night, though.
Not last night's. Or last night's out.
An interesting reflection on last night's game against Saskatchewan. Team was playing on sheet A, which is against the stands. And the one comment that we've definitely heard from the players is that, and even the ice crew, when I talked to BJ earlier this week, is that if you're going to have any differences, it is on the fan side. You've got extra heat that comes out onto the ice and often makes the ice slower, a little bit more patchy.
That being BJ Gagnon, the head ice technician here in Charlottetown.
He's done a great job. We've had all kinds of wacky weather here this week. Snow, rain, sleet, you name it. And they've done a terrific job of keeping the ice conditions consistent for the curlers.
Little tap, any good? Yeah, you can bump it. Okay.
We'll see if it's a bump.
Lines, as long as the line's good. How's the weight?
Little bump.
Roll for line.
Close though.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa, whoa.
Little bump, Heather.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Danielle trying to play down in front of the stone just placed there by
Clean
Gina
it.
Schrader.
Whoa.
Light clean.
Whoa.
Come up.
Just a wee bit heavy, and there's that roll off.
Okay.
Can you double those without killing ours?
That nose is not bad, yeah.
Okay, Gina.
I think it is time for Kelly Scott to move a little bit of that granite.
I don't know. To save your shooter, I don't think this will get out.
We just got to
Don't
save
mind
our
that.
shooter in the 8 foot.
This is shot, but I don't mind that.
Okay.
Let's go 10.5.
Now, this was curling up, she said.
Yeah.
Not important for Gina to make the double. It is about removing a little bit of that granite and rolling in front of the other red one. They'd actually love that red one to stay there. That becomes a problem for Heather Smith-Dacey.
Yep, yep.
Kathy, in your opinion, you said it's time to move some granite. Why now?
Because there's too many stones in the 4 foot, and if the Nova Scotia team's able to get one in, there's so many rocks, the chance to score multiple points would start to shrink for Kelly Scott. And here's a great example of Heather just wanting to be right on top.
Shot, Gina. Very nice throw. You were on the inside and you were good.
Yeah. Those are lines of.
You gotta get pretty close to that, right?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like, you might have to just come in. You have to come into it with more of a freeze.
This will be the interesting rock this end, Brian, because any sort of freeze made by Nova Scotia, there's still going to be an out with that stone at the top of the 4, and that's why Kelly is going to leave it there.
What do you want?
4. Just a touch less ice.
We're down to Skips Rocks here in 3. Heather Smith-Dacey with her first.
Whoa for line. Whoa.
Hold there, wait one.
Whoa then. Okay, you gotta let it move. Whoa.
Less than yours.
No, okay.
Girl, baby.
Whoa. No, really
Still
want to
gotta
finish.
clean it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Roll.
Very nice.
And she'll find the pocket, and it looks like Nova Scotia is now lying 1.
I don't want this to come into these at all, eh?
No.
Okay.
And even if you,
Not
if
bad.
you get to
It's not bad.
it's up this way. And she can't guard both.
We saw that out-turn track a bit. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll go 10.5 at
Okay,
the
so
end.
we got to cross it a bit to keep
Just
it there.
a bit, yeah. About 3/4 cross. 10.5. Just cross it a bit,
Okay.
just so then a nose the red goes over a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Wants to get to the nose of that red stone and roll a little bit towards her yellow stones. Then Nova Scotia's going to have to worry about numbers of stones in the house belonging to your opponent.
I think second after the shot.
10.5. 10-2.
Wait a bit. Stay close.
Whoa, gotta cross it.
Whoa.
Close, clean.
Whoa.
Yep. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Little bit, Jackie. Little bit.
Okay, shot, Cal.
Good shot.
Okay, shot, Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
She got a little bit of a kick. Watch where the red one goes. Not ideal. They were hoping to get to the inside and leave the second red one right where it is. But in fact, what the first one does is spins a little bit in and takes away the perfect angles that she would have had.
She's got a huge end.
And there comes Smith-Dacey. We've talked about the visits that he has made to this team.
Out, right? So she's going to lose the back one. It's just for two, isn't it? If I come in here.
We'll listen to him give his views to Heather.
What do you like, Danielle?
I was just thinking right here, she only has a shot for two, right?
Yeah, because then your shooter would never go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this one's going all day.
Yeah. No, that's the shot.
I wouldn't bump anything.
That's the shot, but you want to make sure that that you over curl the 7.
Like, is this any good?
No.
No, it
So
has
she's
to
angling.
be welded in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you bump it a little bit.
Even if you bump just a hair,
Yeah, as long as you cross the face.
Yeah.
And even if you bump the 3 a little bit and you roll to the corner freeze on the 7, that shooter's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah. So you
Just
guys,
gotta make
from
sure
a sweeping perspective, you got to know we have
Yeah,
to end up.
but you can
somewhere.
bump as long as your line's good.
So similar line, maybe just a touch less broom then.
Yeah, less broom for
Yeah.
sure. Less broom for sure. Because you got to get cross center line.
Yeah.
Probably quite a bit less.
Yeah.
No, very decisive, great information, and the really interesting thing is that in his day, for Mark, probably would have been looking at lining up a quad because that's what he loved to do. The highest visits by a coach for Team Nova Scotia. BC really does like Jerry Richards as well, but they don't call on him as much. Part of that is the fact that the clock does not stop. But the other part is he, meaning Mark Dacey, is such an important resource for this Nova Scotia team.
But we can bump it a little too. Touch less than 95?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, place it, guys.
Okay.
In talking with this team, Colleen Jones has been in touch with Mark pretty much every day this week. They've traded emails and got an email of support last night from Colleen, wishing them well today.
A little less.
When you heard the direction to Heather, being light is not good. It creates an
Line's
opportunity
over.
for 5. If she taps it, it doesn't matter. It's about
coming
getting
now.
another stone into
Line's
the
really
4
good.
foot.
Line's great. Line's great. Whoa. It's all there. Whoa.
Curl.
Whoa. No, line's perfect.
Whoa.
Great shot, Heather. Nice one.
Nice one.
So Nova Scotia is lying 1. A lot of granite in that 4 foot.
Then I think this guy's just kicking out this way, and 7 should stay there.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay.
Do you
Let's
think?
just go 8-8. We won't go real solid. Just 8-8.
Throw it like.
Want to hit it very hard on the edge. It's going to go there. It'll bounce off the yellow stone, but then it should also go out that way.
Hit a piece of the yellow one.
Okay. Okay, Cal.
Thinking just solid, like 8-8.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jerry Richard looking on. A monitor has now been provided for both coaches because the challenge was that the clock didn't stop and they weren't able to see setups when they would walk to the other end. Now they have a chance to look at it. So if Kelly were to call a coach visit, he would at least have a sense of what he would be sharing with the team before he got there and saw it for the first time.
So Kelly Scott, her final stone here in 3.
Close.
Whoa,
Trying to bail her team out of some trouble here.
Come on.
And she'll flash entirely.
Try, Cal.
So it is a steal of 1 for Nova Scotia. Back-to-back steals now for Heather Smith-Dacey. And a commanding 4-0 lead here in PEI. Brian Mudryk and Kathy Gauthier with you on this Friday afternoon. A crucial tiebreaker between Nova Scotia and BC. And thus far, it's been all Heather Smith-Dacey out of the Mayflower Curling Club in Halifax. Picks up 2 in the first, a steal in the second, a steal in the third, and now a 4-0 lead over BC.
Well, Kelly Scott had a shot for 2 for sure last end. I think she threw the weight that she wanted. It just tracked, ran very, very straight, and missed the outside of everything. Need to stop the bleeding pretty soon.
Lead stones on the way here from Nova Scotia. This is Terry Lake.
3. Line's nice. Line's great.
Terry for their first one.
Clean,
Top
really
8.
tight. Clean. Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Sit. Yep. Sliding a lot. Yep.
Grab
Freeze
something.
it.
Okay,
Whoa,
no,
whoa,
freeze it.
whoa.
Or just
Sit. 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 Sit.
okay, that's fine.
Nine and a half. Clean. Yep. 9-8. Yep. Yep. Hard line. Hard. 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 Shooter sash. Hard. Hard. Hard.
Okay. Keep the shooter there. And we've talked about that 4-0 lead for Nova Scotia, but Kelly Scott is so not out of this game yet. There still is a ton to go, Brian, and she did not have an easy ride. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. This is the line score from last night. There was a big 4 scored for Saskatchewan in the 4th end, so she was down 5-1 and then took one and started to claw her way back in. There is no give up in BC. So lots of ends to go, but it would be great for Team BC to start scoring if they're going to mount a charge.
Okay.
Pretty incredible. That was 5 consecutive steals, and it's not like she did it against just anybody. She did it against Saskatchewan and the best team here thus far when it comes to their record in Amber Holland.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about the free guard zone is there will always be rocks in play, and right now she's got a corner guard to work with. There's a stone in the house that she can freeze to or tap back or utilize as a guard even and draw behind it. Lots of time, lots of rocks.
Close to line. Yeah, line.
Felt really good.
Yeah, line, guys. Hard for line. Come on, line still good. Hard line, hard line. Go, go, go. Hard,
Yeah, line's still good. Go, go, go.
Hard,
Yep,
hard,
go.
hard,
You're fine. You're fine.
Rub. Okay, Sash. Good weight, Sash.
It's interesting, too, Kathy, of all the teams out here that you really don't want to give a second chance to, you got to think it's this BC team and Kelly Scott with the experience they have and the 2 Scotties wins that they have as well.
Well, they certainly are fighters. We have watched this week some teams that get down and almost give up, or you can see the frustration, you can feel it, but there's no question that the BC team is frustrated right now. They feel that they've set up, especially the last end, well, but there will be no give.
Okay.
Just really ran.
And there's a bit of a mistake right there from Bliss Comstock. So 2 corner guards now to work with.
Okay.
Was Sasha that threw the last one that just rubbed the guard, so she should have a pretty good sense of what the draw weight was.
One more line now. Line's good. Hold the same.
Yeah, you still got to go for weight.
5. Still got room.
No,
Quite a bit of
stay
line.
close.
Here it comes. Line's still good. Still got room. Got to finish this one. Keep it going, this one. Okay, line's good. You're there. Line's good. Way to go, Sash.
You like this, the peel?
You want to come down? You like coming down?
I don't mind coming down.
Do a 14.8 on that. It's pretty quick. Okay.
Hard. Line's nice.
Line's great. Line's perfect. Got room.
Have a look.
Room.
Get Gotta go.
Okay, hard then.
Hard then. Room. Whoa. Above the tee. Whoa.
Room.
Yep. Yep. You want to
Down
see
the
back
angle.
to it?
Keep
Back to
going.
it?
No.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's lovely.
Nicely done. The ice is really crisp today, allowing sweepers to take it that much farther. Good throw. It's on my clock. 15:31 between the hogs. That is a little bit quicker for sure than it's been this week.
Okay, a little wider line. Line's good. Yeah, hurry line. Just a 5. Hurry line, guys. Hard line. Keep it coming.
Kathy, where's a 5 or a 4 on the ice?
Come on, go.
Well, they're
go,
suggesting
go.
that where she is maybe top 8 foot or 12 foot. That would be the 4 is the 12 foot. And they're pretty close with the judge of weight. Unfortunately for Gina, just a little bit light.
See? Okay. Just above the tee.
Similar. Okay, go. Yep, hard line. Room. Whoa, room. Yep. Gotta go. Hard line. Hard then. Hard, really hard. Go, 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 go. Come on, top 8. Go, 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 go. Come on, hard, 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 hard.
Whoa, you're running.
She just got herself into a different path. The path that Gina did is a little bit lighter, and that's when it has that big finish curl.
That's probably your best bet. Top 4.
Okay, Gina. Might track right on this 4-foot track here. Okay.
Gina Schrader with her second stone here in 4.
Line's good. Just a 4. Okay, as far as you can, guys. Line's real good.
Just a 3-4.
Suggesting that she's short again.
Okay, yeah, keep it coming over. Right over, right over, right over. Right over. Yeah, go, go, go. Right over, right over, right over. Okay.
Okay.
Well, she's putting a lot of pressure on Kelly Scott and taking a lot of pressure off Nova Scotia.
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I don't feel that it's that much faster there, but
Like that track's not as good.
well, they're jumping it right out of my hand, though, so
Well, Kelly's talking about
the line coming in.
the path and whether it's
I'll give it to
tracking
you
or what's
guys.
going
Top
on, and
8.
Gina's
Okay.
saying, that they're jumping it, which means that they're sweeping it almost before she's let go. So clearly the sweepers are feeling that she's not either kicking as strong or she's pulling some weight off when she's throwing, but they know she's light out of her hand.
A little bit that much. 4?
Yep.
Very little pressure so far on Heather Smith-Dacey today
Line's nice.
in this
Pretty
tiebreaker
good.
game. Last stand had to get a stone in the
Room.
house, but it has not been exact
Line's
placement that
nice.
she's
Line's
had to
great.
worry
Just
about.
Top 8. Line's real good. Whoa for line. Gotta go. You can go. Yep, hard. Hard. Hard, guys. Line's good. Go, 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 go.
Heather
Line's
Smith-Dacey,
perfect. Go,
her
go,
first
go.
stone.
Keep it going.
Here in 4.
Go, 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 go.
And they'll drag that rock into the 8 foot. Nova Scotia line 2.
That's great brushing by those two. They swept that all the way. Good judge. Good communication with the weight.
No.
That's great brushing. Head right over the broom head for maximum pressure on those brooms.
I believe I grunted there.
Kudos to Terry Lake and Liz Comstock for their effort.
And it's a very, very long week. You talked about 6 days of round robin, now 7. If you're not in shape, boy, you are feeling it by now.
Still the slide. Yeah. Like practice like then. Same thing.
Exactly the same, yeah.
I was breathing that heavy just walking up the stairs, being under the weather here this week. Great work to the sweepers for sure. Well done.
Well, the other thing that they did by bringing in that bar is for Kelly Scott now, she's not burying around a stone in the top 12. She's trying to bury around a stone in the 8 foot. Made the shot that much more difficult.
Got room.
We got.
Yeah.
Line's great.
Line's
Keep it
real
curling.
4-5.
Hurry line. Hurry line.
Okay, you're coming up. Just sit on it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good tester. Yeah.
Referring to the fact that she may very well have to draw to the 4 foot on her second one. Chance to figure out what she might need.
Even here is good.
Yep. So here, but
She's able to place
Air
the
short
stone
here.
in any of those two areas. What she does is she seals off this hole, make it very, very tough for Kelly Scott to try to find a path into the house.
It's a pretty large hole to block. Somewhere in the middle there is good.
Okay. Do you think it's a little, what do you want for weight? Do you want the same? What was that?
406. Ooh, lots. Deep.
hey, off that one. Yep. Yep.
And Kathy, deep is what they don't want here. You don't want to leave
Hard.
Kelly with an
You're
open
by
hit
it,
for
you're
her
by
one.
it. Can you sleep it through? Yeah, sleep it through. Hard. Yeah.
Well, that is a mental error on Heather Smith-Dacey's part. Anywhere in front, even a long guard, would have made navigation much more difficult for Kelly Scott.
No, I just try to give it to them. Try not to make them have to sweep as hard as they do.
Don't you ever worry about a front end. That's their job.
It's only one game today. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's feeling bad.
Same kind of speed here, hey?
Yes.
Yours ran good, Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie's ran real nice out here.
Just give you a bit more.
As a front-end player for most of my career, I can certainly tell you that it is a great feeling to see a player in the hack, a skip, throw a rock that you can influence when you know it's heavy, as with that last one. There's not much you can do but watch. So a chance here. She set a tester on her first one. Time to make a draw, Brian.
We're about a 7. Yeah,
It certainly is. Her final stone
curling
here in
now.
4. Kelly Scott
She
desperate to
can
finally
wait
get on the
line.
board
No,
here in this
line's fine.
tiebreaker.
Line's fine. You clean it?
Well, no.
It's pretty good.
How'd it go?
No brushing from the front end. Got to slow down. And that one slides too far. So a steal of 1 for sure. They're looking at possibly 2.
I think it is 2, Brian.
2 red. 2.
2 red.
So yet another steal for this team from Nova Scotia. And a commanding 6-0 lead through 4. And right now in our feature game here, Nova Scotia certainly number 1. As they're up 6-0 over BC in this critical tiebreak game. Winner moves on to take on Ontario. Loser goes home.
It's almost unfortunate that the coach can't determine when the halftime break will be. I think for Jerry Richards, if he could, he would just pull the group together and say, okay, you know what? Sasha was light last time, both of her shots. Gina was light both times on her shots. Kelly, obviously what they think or they're communicating for draw weight isn't bang on, but there's not much for Jerry can do but shake his head and hope that by the end of this end they've rebounded with a couple on the board, and so that when they take the break, they can find a way to move forward positively. Team obviously thought that Kelly had made that last shot, but it slid a long way.
This line's running a bit.
Hey,
Let it break.
Weight sliding too.
yeah.
Curl
Closer
baby.
to a freeze.
I don't really want to freeze it.
Tap it.
Yeah, tap it then. Whoa. Yep, hard. Separation. Okay.
And this, in my opinion, is one of the mistakes that Amber Holland made last night when she got up so far on Kelly Scott. They left so many rocks in play that the Scott team were able to utilize them, and that's what Kelly's going to do.
Nice. Keeping them up. barely getting over if you can keep it coming.
Trying to make sure they're set up with 2 corner guards. And pretty even, so there's no double.
Nice weight, Jackie.
Nice shot.
Well, Kathy, they're the youngest team at this year's Scotties, but they certainly haven't played that way. There you see Rachel Homan, skip of this outstanding team from Ottawa, awaiting the winner of this one. The rest of her teammates, Emma Miskew, Allison Krabiasic, and Lisa Weigel at 25 years of age is actually the oldest on that team, the lead. And great experience with Sherry Madaw in there as her 5th, and Andrea Rowenbeck, coach.
They have been very, very calm and cool and collected this week. Not fazed at all by their first appearance at the Scotties, but this really is where the rubber hits the road. Where if there are going to be some nerves, it does start in the playoffs. And while I don't believe that is the case for Team BC, they are struggling with finding out what draw weight
Close
is.
to a 3?
Yeah, we need
Tight 3.
Really
Lots of
tight.
chances last end in the 4th. Just not able to capitalize on any of them.
Well, last night against Saskatchewan, they came back down 5-1, 6-0, though. This would be something amazing if they could mount some sort of comeback here.
Well, you do it in small pieces. You don't look at trying to find it or get it all back right away. If they can go to the break and find a way to score 2, very reasonable for this end. Now they're down 4. If you force 1 and take 2, maybe find a way to steal 1 or 2. Get close to the end, and if you're close, all sorts of things can happen. Nobody knows that better than Kelly Scott.
Okay.
And here's how it starts.
Your favorite crushing finger.
No, well, she couldn't have gotten closer. I'm surprised it didn't move with the draft. But it is still there, and so now for Sasha Carter, she threw the guard. Now we'll try to find a way to get around it.
Close for line, guys.
Good.
7. Yeah, line.
Whoa, line.
Room.
I think we got lots.
Okay, line's real good.
No. Still about a 9.
Okay. 4.
No.
Yeah, you don't need to bring it at all. It's good,
Sasha.
Sash.
Nice shot.
You can just get this one's fine.
Okay.
Kathy, at this point, you just have to do something, whether it is come around that corner guard. Do you like the tap on those red stones? I guess the key is just to use those stones to your advantage somehow.
For sure, and the coming around the corner guard's a great call. You've thrown them, you want to utilize them. The way those 2 red stones are set up in the 4-foot, a nose hit makes them both go away.
Hard. Real hard. Quick. Real hard, Terry. Right over.
Come on.
Go.
Okay.
So a couple mistakes from Nova Scotia this end.
Yeah, I don't mind that, Gina. Just tap that up a rock.
Can't make the double right now because I think our
I
yellow's
kind of like
in
the
the way.
hit and
Your
roll.
yellow is in the
We
way.
can't hit it. It'll jam over here. So we just need to rearrange them.
We
a
can
little.
go this way. I think there's room if you like it.
Yeah, okay.
You can
So
see that
back.
the concern is that because Sasha went so
T-line
deep
weight.
in the house, any nose hit on the red one, the 2 could go, but that second red one will jam onto the yellow stone just thrown by Sasha. So it's about moving those stones around.
Seven.
Okay. Yep.
Hard line.
Yeah.
Hard line.
Yeah, hard line, guys.
Yeah, 5, 6.
Really hard line.
6.
You bumping anything?
7.
Yep.
Hard.
Yep. 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 Rearrange it a bit. Yep. Good shot.
Very good.
Well, makes contact with the other side of
I
what
get
she
this.
wanted to.
Firm. You want to come into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Hard. 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 Hard.
throw the left.
Removes the yellow stone, and Nova Scotia lying 3.
Huh? Oh, sorry, I thought you said something.
Think you have room that way, Gina? Is it too tight?
Might be a little tight.
Just a 10.
When she refers to tight, her initial thought was to play the out turn, or rather the in turn at this and roll behind the corner guards. But because it runs so straight, you don't want to risk flirting with that guard, and that's why they're playing from the inside
Get ready,
to the
guys.
out.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
is all
other
about
way.
the roll.
Okay, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Yep. Double, yep. Hard.
Plan B.
Good shot.
Okay.
Hey, Gina. Okay.
You gotta go.
I don't mind staying open there.
Yeah.
Tiny roll is okay.
10?
Yeah.
The touch less. It was running it here a little bit in practice.
Spot was kind of straight in practice.
Okay. Throwing it 10
Two
yet?
at the top 4 there, though.
In the team warm-ups, each player on the team will throw hits going one way and draws the other in the practice time that they're given, and they're always the same spot, so that if you get into situations in the game, there's always someone on your team that knows what the in-turn would do or the out-turn, and this was Heather's spot, and that's what she referred to when she was tightening up the ice.
Nice shot. Great shot. Nice throw, Heather.
Straight there, hey? I remember that
That's our
practice
only
we
chance
tested.
at kicking that one.
Yep.
Okay, we'll go with a 9. Should hold there.
You might overrule a bit, but
What, Gina?
some sort of scoring zone.
Nothing.
Roll even. Play the double on the roll.
Throw a 9. Try to hit and roll on top. Kill that one behind cover.
Well, it is behind cover, and there's not enough room with the red stone that the broom is beside to get around and play any sort of a draw or freeze to it. And so in an ideal world, if she were to make this perfect, she would make the double and roll her shooter right in front of the red stone to the right of the broom.
9-8. No, it's
Kelly
9
Scott
and
with
a
her
half.
first here in 5.
Whoa. Yep. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa.
Roll for the shooter. Yeah.
Bangs the red stone, catches the other red. Nice double. And it's Nova Scotia still lying 1.
Way to go, Cal.
Nice shot, Cal.
It's better.
This touch over here.
Good shot. In that ideal world, the shooter wouldn't have rolled
Nice shot.
quite as far, but she gets the double and she sticks around. And right about now,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
9 at least. I
Really
think she called
needed
9-8.
this.
I think I said, no, it's not.
So finally something positive here for Team BC.
Okay.
Heather Smith-Dacey, though, can make both of these yellow stones go away. Nose hit.
Whoa. Whoa. Close. Off.
Whoa.
Right off.
Whoa. Finish.
Okay. That's okay.
Makes one go away, but now finally a chance for 2
Less ice there.
for BC. And some much needed points on the board here.
Well, for Kelly Scott, not a great outing so far at 53%, but a 4-point shot here, a nose hit, a deuce on the board, puts your team feeling like they've got a shot as you go to the break. Huge shot.
So after Nova Scotia steals in 2, 3, and then a pair in 4, final stone here in 5 for Kelly Scott. BC finally with a chance to pick up 2.
Yep. Hard. Right up.
All the way, guys. All the way.
Carter, Armstrong, the sweep. There's the hit, the stick. And a sigh of relief from this team from the Kelowna Curling Club as they are finally on the board. Picking up a pair, still trailing 6-2 after 5. They were the best of the best this week, and that's why they're in the 1-2 game. Tonight on TSN, Amber Holland at 9-2 will take on Jennifer Jones and Team Canada at 8-3. You can watch tonight on Canada Sports Leader at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Meantime, on this Friday afternoon at the Charlottetown Civic Center, two teams trying to stay alive and punch their ticket into the playoffs. Nova Scotia with a 6-2 lead after 5. Kelly Scott finally making a hit and stick to pick up her deuce. She trails 6-2. And now it's Heather Smith-Dacey with hammer here in 6.
About 3.
Looks like a lot.
4.
Are you right to it, guys?
I think we're about to 6.
Okay, you still got room.
I think we're there.
Kelly Scott and her team coming into this game with having 17 stolen ends in their favor will need to do a little bit of that in this back 5.
Beauty. Good one, Jackie.
Good shot.
Nova Scotia, one of the highest teams in terms of steals against, second with the most. And so those numbers and the determination by the Scott team could put them back in. But this Nova Scotia team with those great numbers at the front end have really, really set things up. And so it's going to be a tough road for Team BC and for Nova Scotia. Feel like this is in their control if they're able to continue to play as they have for the first 5.
Line, whoa.
Line's good.
Sliding to it. Getting better now.
Line's fine.
Clean it.
Whoa, it's there. Little bounce.
Curl.
No, it's fine. You're on the nose.
Of course, Kathy, the winner of this game will take on Rachel Homan and Team Ontario in the 3-4 game.
Okay.
That goes tomorrow. And if you're keeping track at home, it was Ontario beating Nova Scotia during the round robin. 9-3 was the final in that one.
All right, smash.
Yeah, I think we got enough.
Just need
5,
top
6.
12, lots of line.
5. Oh, we're coming down.
No, just wait on line, guys. Just at the very end.
Right to the red.
Let it curl a bit more.
Just wait a bit.
A little more.
Nice weight, Sash. Good throw.
Continuing to line those stones up, and now that she's able to open up that front, that's what Heather Smith-Dacey is asking to have done.
Yep, hard. Whoa, whoa.
Rolls and out.
Good.
2.
Yeah, here we go.
Kathy, we talk about that 1-2 game coming up later on tonight. And, of course, Rachel Homan has the entire day off. When you were competing, did you like a day to just get away from the rink entirely, or did you like to stay immersed in the sport and be here?
You want to stay playing. Your body is used to a certain routine, and so the teams that are playing tonight in the 1-1 game would have been here earlier today throwing some rocks, making sure that they're keeping everything loose and that they're comfortable, that the ice is not changing. Now, Rachel Homan would have had that opportunity as well, but she does not have the opportunity to actually play today. And while it seems like her rest is really good, most teams would say you'd like to continue to play at least a game.
Knows it?
Great place for her, though, to be able to sit back and watch people duke it out, have a chance to play against her.
Yep. Hard. Hard.
Bliss Comstock
All right, it's not bad.
rattles some granite, removes the yellow stone.
Think tap that.
You like another guard on your first?
Yeah, I don't mind a guard either.
Tap to back 12.
Tap to back 12?
Tap to back 12.
Okay.
The other option for sure is another guard. That red stone in that last shot by Bliss became unglued from your own stone, and so you will have access to this path. You're able to guard it. Maybe the other team will stick it or hit and roll to a guard.
10.
You create an opportunity with this shot if it's not made perfectly for the double and an out by Nova Scotia.
Room.
No, 10.
Clean, close, yep.
55% from Gina Schrader, not numbers we're used to seeing from her.
Now those are very low, and we talked about the key matchup today was between the thirds and the advantage of experience and the +4 that Gina brought into this game.
No, doesn't matter. Okay.
And I wondered if nerves would be a factor for Danielle. They have not seemed to be.
It's a little inside nose, actually.
And there's some pretty strong numbers
Yep. Whoa.
in this battle of thirds. She is winning quite handily so far.
Whoa. Whoa.
Nice shot.
Nice.
Has the upweight ability. Moves a lot of the granite around, opens things up, spreads the stones around.
Okay.
Think a 9-6.
Wants to hit it across the face for the double.
Room. Little up.
No. Come on. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know.
Okay.
Right out, right out. Okay, Gina. All right.
And the struggles continue. Part of it is the ice runs very, very straight, but any little flip out on her last motion, it will not climb back up.
10.
Really good chance for Nova Scotia to hit and roll away a little bit, try to create an open deuce and get that 2 back on the board that they gave up last end.
10. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Hard. Whoa. 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 Ah. Whoa. Whoa, Bliss.
Good.
Beauty.
Makes the double.
Sticks around, which is the key.
Nova Scotia line 2.
Awesome, Danielle. Very nice.
Now, talk about rising to the challenge. Lovely throws on both of her stones.
Yeah, well,
Key here is that this rock will stay.
No.
I just wanted you to throw 9-10.
And now for BC, unless they are able to make the double, those stones so spread out. And you go back to that earlier shot by Gina where she wondered if the guard would have been the shot. Lots of rocks in play, a way to force your opponent to one, maybe find a way, but when playing the hit, that's when stones start to be minimized. And now all the pressure on Kelly Scott, who's faced a lot today, but by those numbers, even when they've been relatively simple, really struggled to find draw weight so far.
Close.
Yep.
Whoa.
Yep.
Hard. Yep. Real hard. Go, Jackie.
Oh, you're nosing. Okay. Good shot. Good shot, Cal. All right, Cal.
That worked out pretty good. Good sweeping, guys.
Good shot.
Heather Smith-Dacey would like to roll away to the right. Keep as much separation as she can.
Okay, 9.5-10. Roll your way, Terry.
Yep. Just a touch more ice.
And some solid numbers for Heather Smith-Dacey. Coming into the game, her average over the last 3 had been 75, but we talked about her ability to make the right shot at the right time.
Got a little bit, Terry. Anything? Got a little bit. Go. Okay.
Makes it go away, and again, Nova Scotia,
Good
line
weight
2.
control, Heather.
It's going to be an awfully tight run for her, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Well,
like
she's
a
gotta-
9-3 kind of go for the
Listening
roll.
to her weight. She needs to roll in front. It's such a sharp angle to make the double. Her goal is to roll in front of that stone. If she can be 12 foot right in front of it.
Keep it firm.
Maybe Heather will jam if she's making a hit, or it might force her to play the draw.
Wasn't too solid.
You have to think, though, Kathy, at this point it was a win this end for Heather Smith-Dacey, the way things have gone, considering she gave up those 2, but really has controlled the flow of play this afternoon.
A little more weight.
Yeah, it's a bit more,
Yeah.
Tina.
Yep.
Yeah, go, yep.
Hard. Hard.
Hard. Hard. Shoot her hard. Go, go,
Final
go,
stone
go, go.
here in 6
Go,
for
go,
Kelly
go.
Scott. Gets a bit of a roll,
Right there, Cal.
but it's an open hit for 2.
It's coming up the whole way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not running there at all.
Hold
Shot.
on. Good sweeping. Shoot.
Now that roll was huge for Kelly Scott. Needed to get in front of that red stone. And so it is a wide open shot for Heather Smith-Dacey.
That one looked like she definitely popped it.
Big shot would put that deuce back on the board, give her that 6-point spread yet again, and we'd be playing in 7.
Whoa. Whoa.
Final stone on the way here in 6 from Heather Smith-Dacey. Hits the yellow stone, sticks around, and picks up a pair. So once again, a 6-point cushion and an 8-2 Nova Scotia lead. Well, Kathy, it's time for the key shot. It's brought to you by Cashmere Bathroom Tissue. Nothing feels like cashmere.
Well, it seems like a very simple shot for Heather Smith-Dacey, but one of the things our good friend Moosey used to talk about all the time is sometimes on those easy shots, when you get a chance to make a wide open hit, you rush to the hack and you don't do your pre-shot routine. You don't think it through. That deuce was huge. It keeps her up 6 with only a few ends left to go.
And we want to take this time to wish Mark Dacey's mom, Helen Dacey, a happy 76th birthday today.
George and one of their little ones. That's Carter in the middle. The people that are listening in on us, thank you very much. And go pat Helen for us. Not a girl.
There she is. She's
Happy
giving us a
birthday.
wave right there. Happy birthday, Helen.
That's Mark's mom, and he wanted us to make sure that he knew, or she knew, that we were all thinking about her today. And certainly for her, a very easy game to watch today. Not a lot of nerves for family and friends cheering for Nova Scotia watching on. It has been all the Blue Nosers.
Definitely a nice birthday gift.
Yep.
If Heather Smith-Dacey can continue this great play, leading 8-2 over BC in this crucial tiebreaker game. Winner moves on to take on Rachel Holman and Team Ontario. And that game goes tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Gina, don't you think we need one more corner? Well, I think we got to freeze first. You're not going to get 3 by going around the corner now. We're thinking a corner or a freeze, Cal.
You want another one?
I like another
It's
corner.
only
Just thought mix it up a bit.
first. Yeah, like we're...
Hey.
There are lots of rocks to go, and as soon as you start playing in the house, very much like last end, it becomes a situation where for the Nova Scotian team can start to hit and remove stones. If you play it up front and you do happen to get a jam, you've got something to draw behind. I agree with the team on this call that a guard is a good idea.
Wait.
Good, Sash.
Good shot.
Bliss Comstock being asked to peel.
Yep. 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 Whoa. Yes. Yes, hard. Hard, 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 Danielle. Hard, hard, hard. Go.
Keep it going.
All the way, all the way, all the way.
And there's your advantage in throwing the guard. Even though the stone is removed, there's starting to be a little bit of a wall on the right-hand side of the sheet as we look at it from behind, something that can be utilized. There you go. When you force play in the house, I know that Kelly is thinking maybe you change it up. Maybe you make the shots more difficult, but you're still at your front-end stone.
Line's good.
Lots of time.
Right on the tee line, guys. A little deeper than that even. Got room.
7, 8.
Let it work.
Oh, this is 9. We're there.
Close.
9.
Yep, yep, behind it.
No.
Behind it if you can.
Nope.
Okay, you're still fine for line.
No.
Good stop.
Okay.
That one will hang on. Back 12.
Harry behind the back.
Well, they said good sash, but she's played this game long enough to know that when you're trailing,
Kind of weight do you like?
just don't want to
Firm
be deep in
or
the
just
house.
9.5?
Your tolerance is short.
I don't mind firm. Okay. Firm. Whoa. Clean. Yep. 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 Whoa. Whoa. Yes. Hard. Yep. Okay, good.
Nicely done. She is having a great game today.
Still think we got to freeze.
And when you consider her age and her inexperience at coming into a playoff game at the Scotties, it's a very, very strong performance.
Line's good.
Yeah.
T-line. Got room. Got room.
Weight's better. It's a 7.
Room.
Line's good.
Line's
Line's
good.
real good. Your early side still, though. Line will get...
Whoa. Let it work.
Okay, get ready,
Try to
guys.
corner freeze
Right to
on
it,
that
right to
stone
it.
or even
Line's
get
real
right
nice.
to the face or
Right
very
on it,
close.
right on it. Go to it. Go, go, go.
Beauty.
Way
Nice
to
shot.
judge. Nice shot.
As she locks it right on. Shot
frozen?
stone for
Yep.
BC.
That's a great shot by Gina.
Nose it. Just nose it. Okay. Let's go the same way. You don't have to throw it so hard, though. Just 9.5.
And it's true, there's not an issue of trying to pop both of those stones out for Danielle. If she's able to hit it right on the nose, the Nova Scotia stone behind it will go
9.5.
away, but that scoring area for Kelly Scott and her
Yep,
BC
yep.
team will be shrinking by the minute.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa!
Come on. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. Good.
Gotta make sure we're higher than
12.
red, eh?
You bet.
Then do you think if I throw the same here, I'm top house?
I think that the tracks are pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's that little wall that we talked about earlier with those
There you go, room,
rollaways.
guys. Quite a bit of line.
Kelly
Set,
Scott's trying to
six.
utilize
Line
now,
will be
knows
good.
that Nova
Clean
Scotia
for
will
line.
make a play on the more open
Got
stone,
room.
which is the one in the 4 foot, and
Clean,
it's
yep.
tough
Yep,
because they've got
on the
one
way.
of their
Hurry
own
line.
3/4
Room.
locked on.
Line's great. Just full 12. You can keep it curling though. Yep. Very nice, Gina.
Had a girl.
2 good shots here in 7.
Okay. Good
Nice.
shot.
Great shots, Gina. Very nice.
It's coming up to do this, right?
What do you mean?
Like just, it would, like this could bounce in behind too?
Yeah, that's not good.
No, but my shooter will be there, right? So that happens?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a couple options.
Your last one finished pretty good. You had about 9.5, so I'll try and throw what you just threw.
Make
the yellow one go away. I mean, there's a chance you could lay 2 here.
Okay.
9.5. Same weight as shoes.
Okay.
Heather
it's about-
Smith-Dacey. Sorry,
It's about
Kathy.
making this go away, Brian. The other thing is where her shooter goes. For Heather, really doesn't want to roll completely behind cover. Would like to roll a little bit. And so for Kelly Scott to try to access it, she may in fact touch the guard, chip her own.
Hard. Whoa. Yes. Yep.
The key here for Heather Smith-Dacey, just making that yellow stone disappear, and she'll pick it out.
Well, there's that roll that we talked about as well. She made that perfectly.
Very nice, Heather.
Nova Scotia lying 1.
I figured that.
Good call.
That's a great shot. First of all, objective, make it go way but bigger. She talked about where she wanted her shooter to go, and it's going exactly where she wants it to go.
Molly maybe clicks her own, but
Can we get shot here?
sure.
I don't know. At least that gives us something to work with then.
I think if you go here, she's going to ignore
Yeah.
it. So
Okay. Maybe she'll give us a double or something too. Okay. Actually, I thought you were
a little full, right?
a little full and... Okay.
Just don't want her to split the rings, right?
Well, you hear the concern. They feel if they go behind the corner guards deep,
Freeze onto her there.
Okay.
Heather Smith-Dacey will ignore it and draw to the other side.
What do you think for weight, guys?
I think it's 4-8.
Yeah.
This way is quite nice.
Has controlled this game from the first
Kind
end.
of like that wider out turn coming this way, the better slide.
Objective here is to corner freeze, be shot stone, and hope for a miscue from your opponent.
Kelly Scott with her first here in 7.
Felt like enough.
6, 7.
Line's real
5.
good.
Line's good.
Yep. 6.
Okay. Line's real good. Yep.
Think so for line.
Yep.
Hurry line.
Hard line. Hard. You got it. Go, 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 go.
Trying to drag it by their own yellow. They do, and a beautiful little corner freeze as BC is now lying 1.
That is a great shot. Great brushing. They just get it by the top one. If it just ticks off that, Brian, it's fatal. But great brushing, great read all the way down, calling on weight. Watch how tight. Oof.
Great shot.
She gets by that front one.
2. This is what the house.
What's that? We could just fight here.
No, she's throwing it for 2.
Yeah. Or we can play here.
Play there. She's got to make something.
Yeah, I like this.
Me too.
Well, the concern right now for Heather Smith-Dacey is who is third shot, and the third shot belongs to Team BC. They can't make a play against the yellow stone because it drives it on their own, and they feel if they don't guard it, Kelly will just make the tap for 3. So this is guarding it and saying to Kelly Scott, find a way or just draw for 2.
A little less ice. It's quite a bit.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's going so hard.
She's thinking you throw the. Obviously, she's drawing for 2, right?
Yeah. We can split the house too here.
Yep.
You guys have a preference?
And she wouldn't have any possible run on anything to put in the house.
Yeah. Okay, let's split the house.
So originally the guard was called,
won, right?
and now they're going to talk about it.
I mean, I think the guard's safer. Don't you
Yeah.
think? Make the guard. Then all she has is a draw for 2. If you split the house and for some reason are light or deep or whatever, she has hit for 3.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine giving her 2 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, that's experience in being with Colleen Jones and playing this game
like the
for a
guard.
lot of years. You don't have to worry about everything your opponent's going to do, and they could split the house, but if she makes a mistake at all and is
Just a
light or
touch less
heavy,
room, though.
the shot is for 3. So you saw
a little
Heather
less
very
still.
calmly look at it and say, if I give them back 2, we're still up. She's playing the
420?
scoreboard.
Yeah. All right.
So with an 8-2 lead at this point in the 7th end, Heather Smith-Dacey, her final stone.
Where?
You heard her say
Good.
she's okay with giving up the pair.
2.
Line's good.
Whoa, whoa. Over
Now, the
and
other
drop
factor into that equation is Kelly
Line's
Scott,
good.
75% on her hits today, much lower on her draws. Force your opponent to do something that they're not doing very well today.
It's good.
Okay.
And so it will be the draw for 2. Mission accomplished for Heather
She made a good
Smith-Dacey.
shot, so you have to just say. She made a good shot.
Yep.
There you see the situation. Kelly Scott needs full 8 foot. A bit of the 4 would be nice, but at this point, for confidence, put it right on the lid. Pick up her 2.
Well, we're wide enough to start with, so I think it should slide good.
Final stone for the skip out of the Kelowna Curling Clubs. Kelly Scott trying to pick up a pair.
You're fine.
Line's real good.
Easy, it's running a bit. Curling now.
I didn't think I threw a whole lot, and I kept sliding.
She's the 4.
Way to go.
And this time, Kelly Scott is right on the money as she puts it on the pin. 2 for BC. 8-4.
Nice one.
There you go.
Well, Kathy says I don't test her enough, so it's time for some trivia. Scotties Tournament of Hearts trivia. It's brought to you by Scotties, proud supporter of women's curling for 30 years. And the question, the 2001 final took place 10 years ago today. Who was in that final?
Well, I know one of the teams because it had a really incredible ending. I remember vividly, but I hate to say I can't remember who they played. But I think about it.
And we'll give you the answer in a few minutes' time. I think I have a pretty good idea, actually.
I find that hard to
I
believe.
actually do. I actually have a pretty good idea of the score right now as well, as you can tell right there in this tiebreaker on Friday afternoon. It is Nova Scotia leading BC 8-4 with action underway here in the 8th end. Lead stones on the way. These one coming from BC's lead, Jackie Armstrong.
Still short, guys.
Yeah, we talked about the magic and the Houdini night day yesterday for Team BC, managing to steal points and force their opponent to make some final shots that they did not make. The difference in those games is that the tie was on when they were coming home, or they were within 1. Not so much today. For Kelly Scott and her team, trailing by 4 with 3 ends left. It is no longer about forcing your opponent to 1. It is about finding a way to steal.
Like to come around?
No.
Just well, just if you miss that, you're bumping this in, but I guess it's not terrible.
Yep.
Still play the top one. I just like the other turn, I think.
All right, let's do it.
Terry Lake for Team Nova Scotia.
Forward up. Whoa. Whoa. Close. Yep. Whoa. 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 Yep. Hard right over.
Oh, nicely done.
Okay, nice shot.
Moves that shot off. That is a very well thrown rock.
Well, we could smell the smoke up here with Kathy thinking. Here's the question once again. The 2001 final took place 10 years ago today. And who was in that final?
Well, the one that I remember most is, I believe it was Colleen Jones, because we've had so many measures this week. There you go, defeated Kelly Law in that final. And if I remember right, it was the measure, and I remember thinking how awful that would have felt for the entire team waiting to have your fate decided for a national championship on a measure.
Good, Sash.
And not only that, the pressure on the person measuring. Can you imagine? Your hand would be shaking to make sure you don't move a rock. And with the power of television, we can flash back to that game. There's a look at Colleen Jones. Obviously, had a big impact on the team on the ice today.
She played off her own to get towards the 4-foot, and boy, that must have been the longest couple of moments of her life waiting for that decision. Huge part of this team would have been the skip out here this year for Nova Scotia, but it's really unfortunate health issues. We've got these rocks up. We've got the 2 corner guards. One ticked over. This was the second shot. First one, she made that great tick, moved it over, and then the clearing on her second one. So still 2 stones up front for BC. One in the house in the 4-foot belonging to Nova Scotia.
Hard line, guys.
Team BC now trying to utilize, freeze down to it.
Hard line's good. Hard. Hard, go. Hard.
Well, you have to think if Colleen Jones is watching today, she's got to be very proud of her former teammates and how they've performed not only all week, but in this tiebreaker game. I know that she's been trading emails with Smith-Dacey throughout the week and lending her support to this team. And obviously, Colleen, also a lot of history at this event. Jennifer Jones trying to equal her 4 consecutive Scotties titles in a row.
Well, for Sasha, that just over-curled. Great weight, but they lost the line early.
Whoa. Right off.
And because it's over-curled and buried, Heather Smith-Dacey is not taking any chances and just removing the guard.
Okay. Good.
Thank you. Nice shot, Sash. Different way to get there.
Just as fast here?
Yes. Yeah.
Just a 2. To a 3 for line, guys. 2.5 at least. Yeah, keep it coming.
Line should be okay.
Just a 2.
Hard.
Yeah. 2. Hard line, hard line. Hard line. Keep it going. Keep it going. Yep. Okay, very nice. Good throw, Gina.
Atta girl.
Good.
Well, a little bit longer than they wanted to, because if Heather Smith-Dacey wanted to, she could throw a hack to a bumper weight shot to remove the stone. But at this point, it is Team Nova Scotia playing the scoreboard and that 4-point edge with last rock. She's not going to fool around with in-between weights and just make the front go away.
Clean. Yep.
The fact that she is shot also helps.
Yep, you're good. Great shots.
Time now for player comparisons. They're brought to you by Ford, official automotive partner of the Canadian Curling Association.
We talked about at the beginning of the show what a big focus this was going to be today. The thirds, Gina Schrader coming in with a +4, had the experience, has shown herself so many times as being the key part of the Kelly Scott team. But today it was the much more inexperienced Danielle Parsons who came to play.
Bring this one over a bit.
Yeah, hard line. Keep it coming, guys. Hard line. Hard line. All you can. Hard. Hard.
Come on, over the line.
Hard. Go, go, go. Hard, hard, hard.
Gina Schrader throwing
Good
up
job.
another
Nice shot.
guard for BC.
Good pair.
Okay. Good.
Nice.
And a piece of that yellow stone that's in the house easily exposed to Nova Scotia. But they know that even if they make a play against that, it's not the stone in the house that would cause them an issue. It is for sure the guard.
Clean.
And Heather Smith-Dacey is not going to be lured into playing into the house.
Yep. Clean. Whoa. Clean.
I want to punch these. Sorry, that one.
Good throw. Nice throws, Danielle.
Gina, this one was over here.
Even had a little more, Gina.
You're not shot though, right?
Right onto the head of
I think.
it. Tossing a hair.
Making a play on it?
Freeze
now?
Possibly. Yeah.
Kelly's playing into the house, playing the freeze onto the shot stone. They tried the guard, but Nova Scotia very effective in making those go away.
Six, seven.
Kelly Scott slowly running out of time. And running out of rocks here on this Friday afternoon. A crucial tiebreaker that has been dominated by Nova Scotia thus far.
What do you got? You get over curling a bit. Yep.
Get over to the yellow, yep.
Yep.
Hard.
Okay. Whoa, not too
Hard.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Cal. All right.
Exactly. I think it's better.
You got all that? Just.
Just? Okay. 10?
Yeah, I like it. We'll hit and roll your way to lay 2.
Interesting, Kathy. We've talked so much about Kathy Overton-Clapham, and obviously a rookie when it comes to being a skip at the Scotties, but so much experience. Heather Smith-Dacey really had the same thing thrown at her as well. She didn't expect to be a skip here. She's played really well, and actually quite impressed with how her and Danielle have interacted at the skip in 3rd position.
Heather's very, very calm as a person. Doesn't seem to get very flustered in the house when things have been going well and not going well. You can see her temperament stays the same, and that is a great attribute for anyone that is skipping.
Line's great. Hard, guys.
Yeah.
Hard.
Quick.
It's not rolling. So just a little bit, Terry.
She'll remove that yellow stone. Nova Scotia, line 2.
Real soft.
Double.
Double to sit 2 or tap back?
Okay, I'm thinking 8, 8, 9.
Whatever's the easiest way to get shot.
I think
Those
we can hold it. They
are
held
the
that
two
pretty
options. One is the double to lie
They can
2.
hold it pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
The other is that you come around and you tap it back and lie 1. I think it's because it's the 8th then. Kelly wants to lie 2.
Do a clean throw here, Cal. Here you go.
And the shot stone would be buried if she's able to make the double.
Kelly Scott down by 4 here in this 8th end of play.
Close.
No.
Lots of rotation, Gina.
No.
Okay.
Push back.
And you heard the comment, just back. She wanted to hit that thin on the inside.
That's all right. Throw that very nice. Let's go back.
So it will be a draw for 2.
Shake it and make it. Yeah.
If we can?
Yeah, we can.
Oh, you. 95. Okay.
There you heard Team Scott say handshakes if Heather Smith-Dacey can put this in the rings for 2nd shot.
It has been an exercise in frustration for the BC team today. They just never really got out of the hack. Brian, giving up a deuce in the first end is not a big deal, but it was those consecutive 1s and 1s when there were opportunities for the BC team. Just really struggled with draw weight more than anything.
Pretty good.
Final stone here in 8 for Heather Smith-Dacey. A draw for 2. Handshakes likely looming, and a date with Ontario in the 3-4 game.
That's good.
This one's got a little bit of steam, has to slow down, and it slides a little bit too far, so just 1 for Nova Scotia. Will they shake?
3. Still 2 coming home.
They're talking.
Sorry, Heather. Get her 3.
And it looks like we're still playing. So just a single for Nova Scotia. They lead 9-4 with 2 ends remaining. This should be a great one tonight. The 1-2 Page playoff game at the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Amber Hall and Team Saskatchewan 9-2 taking on Jennifer Jones and Team Canada at 8-3. You can watch that one tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And on this Friday afternoon, we're sorting out the Final Four when it comes to the playoffs in this one final game to determine who Ontario will play in the 3-4 matchup. It's been all Nova Scotia as Heather Smith-Dacey leads 9-4 here with Rocks on the way in 9.
You see two red stones at the back by the bumper. Heather Smith-Dacey asking her team to simply throw them through the house, not interested in playing tick shots or in leaving extra stones around. And there was a beat on one of the corner guards with a little bit of a roll. That's why we have two guards in play right now.
Okay, you got room. Take it right to back 12. Keep it coming. Hard line, right back. Right back. As far as it'll go, right back. Hard, hard, hard. Go, go, go. You got it. Go. Hard, hard, hard.
They'll drag the stone of Sasha Carter's just fighting top 12. Buried. Of course, Kelly Scott does have hammer here in 9, but a long way to go. Down by 5.
Good sweeping, you guys.
And for Heather Smith-Dacey, will really tight ice this shot. If you hit the top corner guard, that also is good to make it go away. If you catch the yellow one, so much the better.
Hard. Good. Very nice, Bliss. That was a nice throw, Bliss.
Same thing, eh? Be a bit more weight.
Come on, let's go the same, Sash.
Yeah.
Well, for Team Scott, you heard them discussing about whether to finish this game off last end if Heather Smith-Dacey were successful in scoring 2. And when she only got 1, it's 5 points. We've seen 3s, we've seen 4s on the board quite often this week. So with either of those still a potential, Team BC continues to play, and I think that's a good decision.
Right over, right over. Beauty, Sash.
Anything? Do you want to try the guard into it? No, this guard? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Their guard's pretty tight. If you peel, you might get the back one anyway.
Yeah, you can't see any of that, can you?
Got a third.
Okay. Same thing that Bliss threw then. Either one.
I think that's a pretty generous third, Kathy.
It is, and I don't think that Heather was hearing, maybe intentionally, what Danielle was suggesting. She was suggesting that they run their own corner guard, which is on the other side of the sheet, into that stone. The problem with that is if you don't make it, you leave BC buried. And so for sure you want to play towards this side. If you get the guard, you get the guard. If you get the BC stone, you do.
The key shot, though, to what she just played is if you're going to miss inside, so at least you get something. She gets nothing.
Just overthrown.
So I'm up the 4-foot track the whole way, eh?
Yes.
4-2, 4-5?
4-5, yeah.
Kathy, as a player, though, you have an idea in the hack. Your skipper disagrees and says, no, let's play the original shot. You really got to shake that off, get in the hack, and settle in on the shot that you're supposed to play and not maybe have lingering thoughts of what you wanted to play.
For sure. There's nothing wrong with Danielle offering a thought, but the decision is Heather Smith-Dacey's, and once she's made the call, I don't know that Danielle had any questions about it. I think she just overthrew it, and that can be part adrenaline and part sometimes a tendency just to overthrow things. It happens.
Hard. Go, 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 go. All you can, all you can. Good brushing. Nice one. Sweeping.
Now BC line 2, and both of them buried behind cover.
They are.
Knock him down. We've got lots of time.
What he was called. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, what I was thinking on my first one is if you peeled their guard there and roll it, like you could roll it in so it's thin, but it's not that thin. So.
Make that double?
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about on my first one.
Oh, I mean, I think you get either one of those in your first one. That's done. So, yeah, okay, we can make that crosshouse double, open up the back one. And the most you're given is 3, probably. Okay, let's play that.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Either that or you play that run.
No,
Or you're
I don't
leaving
like
a
the
guard
run.
there.
That's what Danielle liked on the first one. The difference with this shot versus the second
Gotta make that double.
is the first time she wanted to play it, there was nothing behind it, so you were peeling a guard that wasn't covering anything. This time,
It's probably as thin as you can. It's pretty thin.
it's almost a redirect.
A quarter?
Yeah, or less.
Make sure you get it, though. Yep.
At a minimum, what you want to do is at least open up the front.
Yep. Hard.
Daniel Parsons hoping to get a pair, gets the guard,
Okay, good try.
but she'll roll over top of that stone in the 12-foot.
Nice throw, Danielle. Darn. I think so.
Gina trying to duck this stone behind the corner guard that is left. Already protecting one BC stone.
Okay,
Try to
we've got
find some more
wider
cover
line,
for the
7.
shot.
Stay close. Wide line now, lots of line. Are we deeper at all?
No, we're both
Okay,
the same, so
get
it
ready
might
to
come
take
down.
it. Take it when you can, guys. Finish it. Finish
come
it.
on, go.
Finish it. Go, go, go. All you can. Go, 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 go. Nice throw, Gina.
Hey, Gina. That had lots of room.
Let's go to the top one. Over half.
Okay.
You heard Gina say it had lots of room. Unlike the first time they buried around this rock, it had lots of room by the guard, and as a result, just never finished as hard.
Don't like just nosing, eh?
What's that?
You don't like playing this one over here?
Coming around again.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys don't like this?
No, I do.
Okay.
Let's go.
I think for the front end, their concern was you're flirting with the guard
Get rid
when
of one of
there's
them at least, preferably both.
one wide open, but you heard Heather's rationale. If you hit the one that's in the open, Kelly Scott will duck around the guard again, and then you have to protect your stone or give up 4, and that's not something she's prepared to do.
Yep.
Heather Smith-Dacey, her first stone, here in 9.
Whoa.
Whoa!
Whoa.
Yeah!
Yes! Whoa.
Bangs one,
Nice.
gets the double.
Great shot.
Now Mark's pretty happy about that. It was a panic yell for a moment as the rock jumped a little bit towards the guard.
I had ya.
That's huge. That takes away
Nasty end.
so much
Nuts.
of the potential for BC in this all-important 9th end.
And without a huge cyber, I believe, too, from Heather Smith-Dacey and her teammates. There was some yellow building up there for Team BC.
It's been very, very calm.
Now Kelly Scott with her first here in 9.
She's going to try to utilize the same corner guard that Heather Smith-Dacey just removed those stones from.
Right, 2 and 8. Way to go. Nice shot.
Good weight, Kelly. Sweeping.
Good girl, Cash.
Kelly Scott will split the house in line 2.
Touch more. There's curls here a little.
So if you're wondering at home, how many teams have gone on via that tiebreaker game to go on and win a title? Not a lot over the histories of the Scotties, but if you look in 2008, 2009, Jennifer Jones did so. Back in 2000, Kelly Law, and then Heather Houston twice. So it is possible, taking the long way to get to a championship.
For sure, and one of our trivia questions yesterday is the most games a team has played at a Scotties, and that is 2005. It was Jen Hanna who played the most tiebreakers ever, and if not for a great in-off shot by Jennifer Jones on that final stone, Jen Hanna would be added to that list. So it is definitely possible to come through tiebreakers and go on to win.
Must speak something too, Kathy, to what we talked about wanting to continue to compete at this week and keep playing, because you get on a roll and you're on the ice and you keep going, and next thing you know, you find yourself in the final.
And it is not a huge number of games for Heather Smith-Dacey should she go on to win this. She's got the rest of the night off. She comes back tomorrow with a couple of games, which is what they've been playing every day. And then it would be a showdown on Sunday. So it is not an unreasonable number of games.
I think so too.
Kelly Scott, final stone here in 9, a draw for 2. This would make it a 9-6 game coming home without hammer.
Still running a bit. Okay, we're curling now.
Just needs to find any part of the paint in the house.
Easy, Sasha.
14. Gotta go. Nice, Kelly. 2 yellows.
And Kelly Scott will find the paint and pick up 2.
Good job. Nice deuce.
Yeah, good deuce.
So a 9-6 score as Heather Smith-Dacey still leads and has hammer coming home. Brian Mutrick and Kathy Gauthier with you, and it's time for the game story. It's brought to you by the Dominion, Canada's trusted insurance.
Well, it wasn't the deuce in the first end, and 1 steal's not bad, but in 3 and 4, especially in 4 when she gave up that 2, put her down 6. Mentally, it's so hard to come back, and also when you're playing a really tough Nova Scotia team, it's been really, really tough today for BC. Look at those numbers. Heather Smith-Dacey, more inexperienced than Kelly Scott at this level when you get near the playoffs, but she has not shown those nerves at all. And a great performance today from her third, Danielle Parsons, as well.
So now the situation is this at the Charlottetown Civic Center. It's a 9-6 lead for Nova Scotia. Heather Smith-Dacey has the hammer, leading by 3 as we come home here in 10.
Good job, Jackie. Way to go.
Nice shot.
Good job by Jackie.
Yep.
In separating those stones. Heather Smith-Dacey tried on Terry Lake's first to play the tick shot. She made a great one last end, so it's a shot that she's used to playing, but it is still very tricky.
Yep, hard line. Hard line. Hard line. Whoa. Whoa. Close. Yep. Whoa. Yep. Sit.
Beauty.
So now, Kathy, with the rules in play, if that yellow stone would have hit the side, it would have had placed back, correct?
You bet. That is a great shot. Brushes it off the center line, pushes it towards the foam on the outside, and most importantly, rolled her shoot around.
I think you're over, Gina.
Yeah, we are. I'm just cleaning.
Easy. I think we're at 2.
About a 2, Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Could take this right to that one and freeze it. No.
Think you're higher than this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Couple feet.
Good.
Trying to have as much separation between those 2 as possible. Farther they are, the more difficult the double.
Yep. Liz Comstock throwing a big weight, trying to remove those yellow stones.
Hard. Go. Hold it up.
She will jam, though, and now a little bit of clutter out front.
Coming in.
Well, a bit of deja vu from last night. The difference last night in that Saskatchewan game for Kelly Scott is tied up coming home.
Threw this in 8. That's pretty good.
Not so much today. Needs to find a way to steal 3. She wants to force the extra.
Close for line, yeah, line. Hard line, guys. Hard line. Hurry.
Line only, buddy.
Hurry. Never off. Hurry. Hurry. You gotta go. And
Big brush to get it by that yellow guard. And they will. Now it's got to sit down.
Like, are we through?
Great brushing to get that by. Kelly Scott really clear that there was no chance it was not going to get by the guard if they stopped for a second. Squeaks by, literally.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Yep. Whoa, whoa. Yep. Whoa. Whoa. Yep. Here he goes.
Good.
Nice shot.
Nicely done.
Atta
Makes
girl.
two go away. Rolls away
Very
a
nice,
little bit
Bliss.
as well, exposing the BC stone in the back of the house.
Yep.
Close. Line
5,
good.
6. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, line.
Got room. Line's good. Got room. Bring it. Keep it going. Get over. Keep it curling. Keep it going, guys. Right over. Line's getting better. All it'll
Make
go.
sure there's
All
no
it'll
double.
go. Back
7,
three's
8.
okay. Keep going for line. Hard line. Okay, line's great. Way to go,
Atta
Tina.
girl.
Can I run it in and just play the straight turn?
Yeah, sure.
Most important thing here is not to run it back and make a yellow go away. That's a bonus. It is to open it up with last rock here in 10, a 3-point lead. There's no need to get cute.
Yep. Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Daniel Parsons
Okay, that's fine. That was hard to make.
Okay.
removes the guard. BC line 2.
Just try to sit as many
Sit
as possible.
3 and
eh?
she, yeah.
Line's
Pretty
good.
wide guard. You got a
Right on
ton
the
of
tee
room right
line.
now.
Right on the tee. Lots of line. It's coming nice.
Gotta go.
Okay, first it'll go for line. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. First it'll go. Not a whole lot of curl that way. Good throw, Tina.
Girl. Nice draw,
9.
Tina.
Yep.
She had draw weight. It just didn't finish around that guard. And so for Heather Smith-Dacey, this really is about eliminating yellow stones. The counting has begun.
Whoa! 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 Yep. 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 Hard. Whoa! 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 Yep. 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 Hard. 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 Hard.
Gets the one. Will miss the double. But we're down to skip stones now here in 10.
Yeah. A biter?
Well, no, so that if she knows is that this guy's going to be second shot.
So if we
Just
go
full
up biter,
12?
She might try the double to the one at the green. I think we almost want full 12 to entice her to play this
Yeah.
double.
Yep.
Okay.
So for Kelly Scott and Team BC have decided that they want to throw a guard in the house in the 12-foot in front of the shot stone because it will be the more open
full
stone. They're
12,
hoping that
guys.
Heather will try to make the double.
Then
Maybe just beak the top one and go by the back one, and then there's your opportunity. That's the theory when you're down 3.
I think if we're any higher, she'll maybe like a double
Yeah.
to the one on the side.
Interesting, Kathy. Just a couple ends ago, if Heather makes that draw for 2, it's handshakes a long time ago. And not to say that it's going to be close, but tell you what, this BC team has battled.
Just
top 12 in this pass.
Yeah.
Line's holding. Here it goes.
Just top 12, guys.
Yeah, we're good. Looks deeper.
Sit. Sit. Sit.
Good.
Hey, nice shot.
So for now, BC line 3, but Heather Smith-Dacey
Looked like it was sliding, but
Very nice, Cal.
has the hammer here. And 3 stones remain in this 10th end.
thought it was sliding in deeper than
Looked
that.
like it was coming
Yeah.
Well, Heather Smith-Dacey can make it all go away and end here. Any chance of a win for Kelly Scott in this end if she makes a double?
So she just picks us out, then where do you want to go?
Heather Smith-Dacey,
Whoa. Whoa.
her first here in 10.
Yep.
She makes the
Yep.
double.
Yep.
It's game
All right,
over.
Terry. Okay, that's good. Okay, I roll it off there.
Now, Danielle decided early if it wasn't going to make the double, make sure that you roll it open and don't run the stone straight back and leave the back one there. Kelly will replace it. And then, as they have done in the last 2 games of the week, we'll wait for her opponent to make their last shot. And yesterday, they did not.
Kelly Scott battled hard yesterday. A pair of wins, first against Andrea Kelly and Team New Brunswick, and then came back that
As long as
evening
you're full 12.
and beat
5,
Team Saskatchewan and Amber Holland
6.
to earn a
Yeah,
spot
it's just a
in this
queen.
game.
Sit, baby. She's fine. She's too fine. Good. Okay, Cal.
So there it is, BC line 3 for now. Final stone on the way now from Heather Smith-Dacey. Make one yellow stone go away, and it's game over, giving her a date with Team Ontario.
On the last rock. Died like 6 ends ago.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Make one of them go away.
And they're having a little bit of a deja vu moment, thinking that their week could have ended a couple of days ago, but combination of playing strong in the second 5 and having opponents give them a few breaks have kept BC in this event.
Final stone here in 10 for Heather Smith-Dacey.
Queen.
Hits something yellow, and she earns a berth in the 3-4 game against Ontario. And there it is. Handshakes for Team BC and elation for Team Nova Scotia and their family as Heather Smith-Dacey is moving on with a 9-8 victory, and she'll play Rachel Holman and Team Ontario in the 3-4 game.
Awesome game. Good job, guys.
And a well-done serve
Way to go.
from husband and coach Mark Dacey as we show you now the official playoff picture is now set. Saskatchewan, Canada in the 1-2 game, and there you see Nova Scotia victorious, and they'll take on Rachel Holman and Team Ontario in the 3-4 game tomorrow. She's battled hard all week long, and now Heather Smith-Dacey victorious in this tiebreaker on Friday at the Scotties.
Go away. I don't care.